Did you know that there are more possible iterations of games in chess than there are atoms in the observable universe? Quite the mind-boggling fact, isn't it? This is the unseen power of chess, an ancient game with seemingly infinite possibilities and complexities. A 64-square board and a few pieces of carved wood or plastic are all it takes to create a world of strategy, foresight, and intelligence. Yet within this simplicity lies a depth that has captivated minds for centuries. Chess is a game that rewards those who dare to delve into its intricacies, learning the subtle art of anticipation, prediction, and decision-making. However, fear not the complexity. For within the labyrinth of chess, there exist strategies and techniques, keys to unlock the door to improvement and mastery. These are not mere shortcuts, but tools that can help you navigate the vast sea of chess possibilities. Today, we're diving into a specific strategy that can help you turn the tide in your favor. In the world of chess, there's a powerful technique known as the pin. The pin is a tactical chess move where an attacking piece restricts the movement of a defending piece. Why? Because moving the pin piece would expose a more valuable piece behind it. It's like a shield caught in the crossfire, stuck between an attacker and a valuable target. But why is this simple technique so effective, you might ask? Well, it's in the question itself: simplicity. Chess is a game of complexity and strategy, but sometimes it's the simplest tactics that catch your opponent off guard. And that's where the pin comes into play. You see, the pin is more than just a move, it's a strategy, a way to control your opponent's pieces and limit their options. It's like putting a leash on your opponent's piece, making it move or not move according to your will. If you're the one doing the pinning, you're in control. You're the puppet master pulling the strings while your opponent's pieces dance to your tune. But there's more to the pin than just control. A pin can also create confusion and chaos on the board. It can disrupt your opponent's plans and force them into defensive mode. It's a way to break their rhythm and make them rethink their strategy. It's a way to seize the initiative and dictate the pace of the game. And the best part, the pin can be used in various ways. It can be a sneaky surprise attack, a subtle trap, or a slow and steady pressure tactic. It can be used to gain material advantage, to create tactical opportunities, or to set up devastating combinations. So the next time you sit down for a game of chess, remember the power of the pin. It's not just a chess move, it's a weapon. A weapon that can immobilize your opponent's pieces, disrupt their plans, and give you control of the game. And once you master the art of the pin, you'll see the chessboard in a whole new light. With a pin, you can immobilize your opponent's pieces and control the game board. Now let's see how to execute a perfect pin. Setting up a pin in chess is a delicate dance, a strategic play that can turn the tide of the game in your favor. It's all about positioning, anticipation, and understanding the role of each piece on the board. So what's the first step? It's all about identifying your target. The enemy king, queen, or rook are prime candidates. Once you've got your target, you'll need a piece that can move along the same lines, like a bishop, rook, or queen. This piece will be your pinning piece. Now here's where it gets tricky. The piece you're trying to pin must be protected by another piece or the king. For instance, if you're pinning a knight that's protecting the enemy queen, you're essentially putting the knight in a bind. It can't move without exposing the queen to capture. That's what we call an absolute pin. But how do you get your pieces into the right position? That's where the dance begins. You need to maneuver your pieces, subtly, stealthily, without revealing your intentions. It's like a game of cat and mouse where you're both the cat and the mouse. Let's consider a common scenario. The enemy's knight is protecting its queen, and they're both on the same diagonal. You move your bishop to the opposite end of that diagonal. Now your bishop is pinning the knight to the queen. The knight is paralyzed, unable to move without exposing the queen. That's a successful pin. And what if the enemy tries to break the pin? That's where your other pieces come into play. They need to be positioned to control the squares that the pinned piece might try to move to. It's like setting a trap with every piece playing its part. But remember, it's not just about setting the pin, it's about exploiting it, using it to your advantage. A successful pin can create opportunities for attack, disrupt your opponent's plans, and even lead to a win. Remember, a successful pin can give you a significant advantage in the game. But what if you're on the receiving end of a pin? Suddenly, the game of chess takes on a new dimension, doesn't it? You're not in control anymore, you're playing defense, but don't worry. Escaping a pin is an art in itself, and it's not as daunting as it might seem if you know the right strategies. The first thing to remember is not to panic. A pin, like any other challenge in chess, demands a clear head and thoughtful deliberation. It's easy to feel cornered and rush into making a move, but that's precisely what your opponent wants. They're hoping to disrupt your game, to make you lose your cool, but you won't let that happen. Now let's imagine you're facing a pin. Your first instinct might be to move the pin piece. That seems logical, right? But there's a catch. If the move exposes your king or another valuable piece, you've just fallen into your opponent's trap. Instead, you might want to consider a counterattack. Is their pinning piece unprotected? Can you threaten it, or better yet, capture it? If so, you've not only escaped the pin, but you've taken the upper hand. But what if a counterattack isn't possible? Well, then it's time to think about blocking the pin. Can you place a piece between the pinning piece and the pin piece? This can effectively neutralize the pin, and it could even give you the opportunity to launch a counterattack on your next turn. And lastly, never underestimate the power of a well-placed pawn. Pawns may be the smallest pieces on the board, but they can be mighty defenders. They can block pins, protect your king, and even become queens if they reach the other side of the board. Remember, escaping a pin requires patience, strategy, and a deep understanding of the game. But with practice, you'll find that you can not only escape pins, but you can use them to your advantage. Escaping a pin can be tricky, but with careful planning, you can turn the tables on your opponent. To better understand the power of a pin, consider this real-life game scenario. A Grandmaster is playing against an ambitious amateur. The board is set, and the Grandmaster, with a sly grin, goes for the pin. The amateur's knight is pinned to his queen. He's in a bind, unable to move his knight without exposing his queen to capture. He thinks he's found an escape, moving another piece to defend his knight, but the Grandmaster has seen this all before. With a swift and decisive move, he captures the defending piece, reinstating the pin and leaving the amateur in a worse position than before. The amateur is left scrambling, trying to salvage what he can from the situation. But it's too late. The Grandmaster's pin has effectively changed the course of the game. It's a powerful demonstration of how a well-executed pin can dominate a game. As you can see, the pin can be a game changer. Mastering the pin takes practice, but it's worth the effort. It's a strategic move that can significantly enhance your chess game, turning the tides in your favor when executed correctly. The pin can paralyze your opponent's pieces, giving you the upper hand and the ability to control the flow of the game. Don't shy away from applying the pin in your games, no matter how daunting it may seem at first. Start by incorporating it into friendly matches, and gradually you'll gain the confidence to use it in more competitive scenarios. Remember, the beauty of chess lies in its complexity and the endless strategies it offers. The pin is just one of these strategies, but mastering it can contribute significantly to your overall chess skills, making you a formidable player. So, step up your game. Don't just play chess, rule the chessboard, keep practicing the pin, and soon you'll be controlling the chessboard like a pro.